Hello, greetings and salutations. So, I was listening to some music the other day and I got to thinking, is music I mean, this is a show that we really cut right to the sandwich, We're not afraid to delve into some real deep waters here, some unexplored territory, we pull out the big guns right from the beginning. We don't, you know, we don't screw around on this show. That's all it is. Yeah. Anyway, so I got to thinking, is music a I forgot. Is music? All right. Well, let's get it established then. What is music? Well, I mean, I guess that kind of depends on who you ask, and then it also depends on, the context, the set and setting, right? Like, as far as, where you go. I mean, and again, who you ask is important too, because, like, let's say, for example, you ask, well, yeah, let's take that conductor gent. I mean, he's gonna probably try to mislead you in some way. I wouldn't trust him personally. But he's probably gonna give you some kind of answer like, oh, music is how it's what this train is powered, like how it's powered, right? Yeah, that's what I meant to say. But it's like, the sustaining responsible for sustaining the ecosystem that persists and is self-contained within that freight train, you know and yeah, I myself am not quite sure that statement is entirely true, to be honest. It could be that could be exaggerated, or even just simply made up information. Maybe not even improvised or made up on the spot. Maybe it had a little bit of premeditation to it, as if the conductor was expecting that question inevitably at some point. I mean, let's be honest. Let's face it. All conductors, I feel, at least from my experience anyway, um, at some point or another, get asked that question or a very similar question at some point during their career. Uh, you know, but I mean, I think that's kind of a given at this point. It's not really something that needs to be expounded upon or gone into further detail. There are much more uh, there are much more there are much larger fish to fry, so to speak. And again, I am not on board with animal cruelty here. I'm not, I'm not saying, oh, animal lives don't matter or anything like that. That's not my stance on this. It's simply an expression from, okay, maybe not my generation, maybe my parents' generation, but still, I mean, come on, you gotta cut me some slack here. I'm not literally advocating for, Long John Silvers here, or Captain D's or whatever with their fish frying practices. Um, well, you know what? No, I shouldn't even have to apologize for this, because by stating that there are bigger fish to fry, that's not advocating frying them. I'm not sitting here saying, oh, I personally am in favor of the frying of fish, or, even if you want to bring size into it, it am okay with frying fish as long as they are at least this size or something like that. I do bring up the size of the fish in relation to the quote unquote importance of their frying, but I feel like that's a completely separate topic for debate there. a separate issue, if you will. But I mean, as far as fish to fry, I mean, honestly, why would you even fry a fish? Why not just like bake it in an oven or broil it or whatever? I mean, okay, so I am talking about cooking fish. Okay, well, you know what? The joke's on you that I still have the last laugh here. You know, I and there it is. That's the last laugh of this show, or at least this episode. I don't know. Maybe each episode is a different show. Maybe each episode is a different host. Maybe each one takes place in an alternate dimension. I don't know. I don't know who I am. I never say my name at the beginning of this. You don't know who I am. I never show my face on here. You don't know I have a face. Look, you know what? Let's not get into some pseudo-scientific rambling here. Let's just take things at face value for once, all right? Let's do that. Let's not read into anything here. I don't want to keep you awake. No more postulating or ruminating or hypothesizing or what is it? Theorizing or philosophizing. Well, maybe a little bit of that, but in moderation, in a very low dose. It honestly. Low dose. Where have I heard that? Well, several places probably, but I mean, like low dose. Oh, okay. Well, I'm not gonna talk about that anyway. So yeah, what was I talking about? Fish. Fish live in oceans, I believe. Well, not even. I mean, just any body of water. Well, okay, so there's two types of fish, basically. There's freshwater fish and there's saltwater fish. Now, the freshwater fish reside in freshwater, which are mainly inland bodies of water. Typically lakes and streams and possibly canals from time to time, ponds, etc. Rivers sometimes, not always. And then the saltwater fish, they prefer saltwater. They live in oceans and bays, lagoons, some rivers, some lakes. Just that sort of thing, really. And fish are, well, they're quite diverse, honestly. I mean, you can't compare. Well, I mean, you can compare anything, I suppose, but I mean, it's really not a fair comparison to, it wouldn't be fair to either party to compare, say, a jellyfish to like a plankton. And I know that may seem like a bit of an odd comparison, and it is. But some people are doing this. Some people are comparing. Some people out there are going around all willy-nilly, trying to make like sort of a Venn diagram out of these two creatures that have, that live their own respective lives. And, all right, you know what? Here, let me make my own Venn diagram right now, mentally, of jellyfish and plankton. Okay, so over on the jellyfish side, does not have any bones. Wait, do plankton have bones? I don't know, I can't look that up or else this will stop recording. It's very important. This is all done in one take. Do plankton have bones? I don't. Okay, pick something else. Jellyfish have stingrays. Okay, that's one. Let's try to make three things on each of the parts. Okay, so jellyfish have stingrays. I don't think anybody's disputing that, and that's some solid information right there in the oceanographic marine biology scientific field there. Okay, so what else? Jellyfish, jellyfish, swim. No, plankton swim too. Let's see, jellyfish. Uh, jellyfish listen to podcasts. Not too many people know that. That's kind of a concealed little factoid there, but indeed, jellyfish do listen to podcasts. In fact, a significant percentage of my demographic listening to this are jellyfish. So shout out to, I don't want to call them out, by name for privacy reasons, but you know who you are listening. You're some. I really appreciate you, jellyfish. I appreciate all jellyfish to a certain extent, but I would like to just really extend my sincerest gratitude to those of you jellyfish who regularly tune in, or even not. Maybe it's your first and only time listening. In any case, even if you just click on this video by accident, and somehow you wound up here, either through skipping through or whatever, and you're not a fan, and you're gonna go press the dislike button and tell all your friends to unsubscribe. Even I still appreciate you, and I still thank you for just giving me any attention, any publicity. Any publicity is good publicity, right? But so it's really, yeah. And that's the thing too, is that's what a lot of people don't realize. I'm not gonna make this political, because I don't want to talk about anything like legitimately serious on here, only just kind of, pseudo intellectual, or, pretend serious, so to speak. So I'm not going to get political or anything, but again, this is, in case you couldn't already tell, this screams family friendly. I almost said podcast. Oh crap, I actually think I said podcast earlier, in reference to jellyfish. That jellyfish listen to podcasts. Okay, well, I'm not going to strike that. That still stands. Jellyfish do listen to podcasts, but here's the thing. That's not all they listen to. No. Because they listen to this, and this is not a podcast. Well, I don't know. It's kind of like a podcast, basically. It's just me rambling on about whatever, just whatever comes to my mind, so I don't know. I guess a podcast may be like that. I typically like to think of a podcast as a somewhat organized, or formulaic. Well, technically there's a formula to everything. There's a formula to this too, right? And we've really come full circle here, because we were talking about plankton, and now we're talking about formulas. So all we need now is to have that side of the Venn diagram of plankton stealing the secret podcast formula to create his own podcast. What would that be like? The plankton podcast. You know what? Let me act that out here. Hello, I'm Plankton, and this is my podcast, the Plankton Cast. The Plank Cast. Ha 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 ha. Don't forget to eat at the chum bucket. We've got the finest quality chum. It's grade A chum. You really gotta eat at the chum bucket. Screw the Krusty Krab. That place is a piece of crap rust bucket with that stingy, conniving crab who's, you know what? I'm not even. This isn't. Just please eat at the chum bucket. Honestly, that's all I want. If you could do me any favor for your life, that's it. That's all I want. That's all I've ever wanted, really. Ever since I went into the whole business, that's been my singular goal, my primary purpose to my existence. You could really just fulfill my life and just make it so much more meaningful. You give it meaning, give it any meaning at all, and finally shut my blasted robot wife up once and for all. Just prove her wrong. Please, please show up at the chum bucket. I am begging you. It's the only thing. It's all I have left. It's all I'm not going to say it's all I ever had, because there may or may not have been a time when I had more, but that's not important right now. What is important is that you eat at the chum bucket. Once again, that is CHUM space BUCKET. Chum Bucket. Objectively the greatest restaurant in all of Bikini Bottom. So make sure you eat there. I'm Plankton, your host. That's all the time we have today. See you next week. So there you go. There's a little demo of the Plankcast, the Plankton's podcast. Whatever. Anyway, this is too. I think this is getting a little bit too energetic here for a sleep-oriented show. So we gotta, I think, tone it down a little bit here. Let me talk about something more boring. Let's see, boring, like boring a hole, like boreholes. Well, boreholes aren't exactly boring. You can look those up on your own time if you want. Not right now, because you need to go to sleep right now. But maybe when you wake up, or at some point during the day that follows you around, wherever you go, wherever you are, whoever you are. I'm not even sure. You know what? Okay, all right. So here's the thing. Well, here's a thing. The thing is, that's something else. You don't even really want to know what that is, honestly. It's one of those things that's like, you like, it's sort of present in each person's individual lives, but then also just as a collective consciousness, a singular entity comprised of a multitude of numerous accounts, and different. It goes by many names. It has many different faces, depending on the time of day, the time of year, the time of time. It's staggering, and I don't even use that word very often. That's how you know it's a big deal. When I use a word I don't use very often, like staggering, like stagger, that's how you know we're really kicking it up to turbo gear. Now that's a word I do use a little more often, turbo. But really, honestly, it's just all, as far as the thing goes. I feel like that title's already taken. Like, that name already exists somewhere else. It has to. It's got to. I'm gonna look that up after I'm finished with this. The Thing. I'm sure it's gotta exist somewhere. But there's no way. There's no way that gold mine of a name there isn't already tapped into. Speaking of tapping into things, how do you feel about Vinegar 2805 tapping into Vinegar 3921's microphone at the debate last night? Oh, blast it. I know. I said I wasn't going to make it political. You know what? Blast it. Go ahead. Put me in the... Alright, I'm ready for my execution. I know. I've violated the sacred vow on here. I've brought SPR into this somehow. SPR didn't want to... So what do you want to do? You want to put me in the guillotine? You want to? Is it so the guillotine? That's the thing that like it like chops your head off. I think I don't know. I'm sorry for some of our sensitive viewers out there, or sensitive listeners, I should say. This may not be very soothing for you to fall asleep. Well, it's probably not very. This topic isn't very soothing to many people. I was gonna say anybody, but occasionally there'll be that person, that's just like, yes, this is exactly what I need to fall asleep to. I sure do love me some nightly decapitation. Oh boy, oh my, it just really helps me to drift away into peacefulness land. So occasionally there will be someone like that. That's not a joke at their expense. I'm laughing with them, not at them. I mean, for sure, hats off to you. I'm not trying to put you down or anything. For now speaking to those of you directly, I'm kind of similar depending on the day. And every once in a while, I'll fall asleep listening to some death metal music, or some like a creepypasta or something. I don't know. I mean, it's you know what? Maybe it's more than a few people. It's kind of It's maybe like 20% of people, I'd say, which is a good amount. Or at least 20% of the demographic here. But and again, like of all the things too. I mean, it's not even like I was talking about some kind of like I was talking about vinegar eels. I mean, how serious of a topic is vinegar? Well, I would watch it there if I were you now, buddy. A buckaroo there. Vinegar eels, I'll have you know, are a very serious topic amongst dozens of species, really, and from all across the Virgo supercluster. Um, you know, what gives you the right, sir? What makes you think that you're just so much more superior, than all of these creatures that spend their lives trying to prove their worth. They give everything they have just to be able to talk about vinegar eels, and a lot of them never even get that opportunity. But what gives you the right, you little puny human? You think you're so much better than most, like every other species, really. It's like, what did you do? You didn't even try to prove your worth about discussing vinegar eels. You just barged right in there and just said, "Oh, hey, how about that, that vinegar eel number, what if so and so, like, oh, ooh, well, what a character, am I right, folks? Like, what, how disrespectful, like, how dare you come in here and into this facility, this part of the Uncle Gary station, which, by the way, don't even get me started on that backstory. I mean, again, since this is an apolitical show, um, I'm not gonna, we're not gonna discuss the origins, or alleged origins, I should say, of the Uncle Gary station, or um, any of the various theories as to the death of Uncle Gary. Um, I'm not going to point any fingers here. I'm not going to, so the jellyfish listening, or whatever, I'm not going to point any appendages at anyone in particular here, anything in particular, not even the jellyfish. I'm not throwing any jellyfish under the bus here. I might throw them under the van, under like I mean, in the spirit of play, of course. Not you know, only if it's consensual, though. Obviously, if they don't want to be thrown under any sort of moving vehicle, then by all means, just let them carry on with their life as they wish. But you know, if they're like, hey, you know what? I'm immortal. I'm just gonna keep giving birth to myself for until the end of time. You know, I want to try something new. You know what? I think I want to be thrown under a moving vehicle, on land. Then you know what? I want to be the person to accommodate that wish. You know, I want to be the one that makes their dreams come true. So you know, in a way that it's like how many people like that are there? You know, how many people can say that they went, like, how many of you at home or where, you know, just how many of you listeners out there can say that you helped a jellyfish today? What did you do for jellyfish, like as a whole and then individually? You know? No, really, I want to know. And again, this isn't a thinking man's podcast. This isn't a thinking man's show. Necessarily per se. I mean, obviously you can think it's kind of the opposite. Basically, it's supposed to be so nonsensical and so absurd that eventually you just stop caring about it and fall asleep. Basically, I don't mean to get you to invest. You know what? I'm not gonna. This thing isn't. You know, it's not meant for anything in any one singular purpose. You know, you could derive whatever meaning or lack thereof from any topic or lack thereof. So, you know what? You go right on ahead and you do that. And you have a real good time doing that too, because if you're not having a good time, you know, then what's the point? Honestly, I mean, it's like trying to I don't even know. See, that's the thing. When your host here, has run out of comparisons to make, well, that's how you know something's going on. Indeed, something is going on. It's the, I don't know, what's going on this time of year. Not much. I don't think. It's not a very busy time of year. Well, you know what? I don't want to date this. You may be listening at the most busy time of year. I don't know. Whatever. Well, for me, in this world where I live, in my time zone here, in this galaxy, it's not. So yeah, go ahead. You just really laugh it up there. Have yourself a jolly old hoot. Give yourself I don't know. But whatever you give yourself, just make sure it's good. Yeah, make sure it's something you want, and you just any time that you kind of want, like, for example, if you're looking for if you're trying to get into the soda business, right? Well, what's the first thing you're gonna do? Well, the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna look for the soda, right? Because if you're trying to do something with soda, and you know it's far be it from me to to try to assume what it is that you're doing with the soda, that you're going into business with, but it's still like you need to acquire the soda in any case. I'm not sure if you're buying soda, if you're selling soda, if you're altering soda, if you're distributing soda, if you're possessing soda,
whatever you're doing with it, you're going to need to acquire it first, right? I think that's a given. You need to have something in order to do anything with it, right? That's like, it's like a bald person saying that they want to experiment with, hairstyles or something. So, well, show me the hair first, and then I'll see what I can do with it as your professional, long-time barber. Like, give me the hair first. You know, like, you gotta, you show me the money, and then we'll talk. And it's like, well, what are we going to talk about then? Oh, well, that's a good point. I mean, you don't want to just talk about the money, or in this case, the soda, or whatever. You want to be able to talk about something else. You want to be able to talk about vinegar eels, or jellyfish, or plankton, or music, or, something. I don't know. But in any case, one thing you definitely don't want to talk about, I find, is, you don't want to talk about, you don't want to talk about, you don't want to get into the whole Wizbo Frobbles thing, because most people, that just kind of shuts a lot of people down right there, and it may have for some of you too, just even hearing that, just hearing the utterance of that phrase just kind of roll off of my tongue, it just may have been like, oh, man, why do you have to say that, I was having such a good time listening to this, and now that just completely disrupted my viewing pleasure. This made it a very unpleasurable experience. Just for that, I'm gonna press the dislike button now. And I'm sorry. I really hate to do that to you. And I don't hate much. So that's really saying something. And again, life's full of tough decisions. You can't make everybody happy, so you're gonna need to make some sacrifices eventually. And that's just kind of one of them, I find, with me, is just, sometimes I gotta stay loyal to the jellyfish, like sometimes when it comes right down to it, in all seriousness, like at the end of the day, it's honestly, you gotta pick your sides, you gotta be loyal to someone or something, some kind of cause, some sort of, whatever it may be for you. I'm not gonna preach to you or try to convert you to anything, or I'm not a salesman here. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm not trying to sell you on anything. I'm not trying to sell you in anything. I'm not trying to sell you for anything or to anything. I'm not trying to do anything cell related. No cell phones or cell towers or nothing like that. It's actually this is like a designated dark zone, basically, of just, it kind of, it's, you can drive through the area and still feel like you didn't drive through the area. So somebody put that on a t-shirt. That right there, oh man, that's some wisdom right there. Anyway, yeah, so that's why vinegar eel number 7246 is superior to vinegar eel 512. Oh crap, the host is back. Hey, give me that. So sorry. Yeah, this is what happens. I leave for one blasted minute. Anyway, welcome back, folks. Hope you're having a good time. I know I sure am. This is, I mean, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't like it. It's a labor of love. It's really, I'm out here doing what I love. And it's great. It's great. Honestly, this kind of thing, it's right up my alley. And you might be asking, what kind of alley are we talking about here? Is it a bowling alley? Is it a What's another kind of alley? Is it a, I don't know, but I'll get back to you on that. Oh, speaking of which, we'll discuss that on the next episode. Speaking of picking up things from previous episodes, about the whole conductor thing, I got to thinking about it, and there are some other things you can conduct, that one can conduct, besides a train or an orchestra. One may conduct a meeting, a survey, an interview, a conference, an inspection, an audit. You can conduct yourself. And I know that sounds painful or weird, but it's just really honestly all about, the way you conduct yourself. You can conduct, that's all I have for the moment, but I'm sure there are plenty of other examples, a plethora of others. But, in any case, and that conductor, what a character, I tell you. What do I tell you? Well, I've been telling you stuff for the past, 36 and a half minutes. Oh, crap, I don't want to give away how long any of this is. It kind of takes away from the magic, in my opinion, kind of like seeing the walls on Spaceship Earth, but, it really is one of those things that you just kind of gotta go with it, because, otherwise, if you don't go with it, it's gonna go with you, and once it goes with you, well, you're gonna have a stalker on your hands, basically, because it's gonna follow you everywhere, and it's gonna be very unrelenting, because that thing, it can teleport, or at least, from my experience, I'm not sure, maybe it resets with each new person, I don't know, but at least from my experience with it, it can teleport, and that's not fun. It might be fun for it, I don't know, but it's certainly not fun, for the person the victim, dare I say, because for them, it's just like, can I please have some privacy? That's the thing, too, is, humans, and I'm not saying I'm a human, I'm also not saying I'm not a human, just whatever, it's not important what species I am. The point is, you jellyfish out there can relate, but it's like, you humans just want privacy, well, not just want, but it's one of the things, it's one of a long list, I don't know how long the list is, it's maybe, I don't know, 486, words of a list. So how many items would that be? Well, assuming each item is an average of 3 to 4 words, maybe, that'd be, I don't know, 120 something words. Items, sorry, 123 maybe, I want to say, something like that. 123 or so items. So, basically that's a lot. It's a lot of items. And it begs the question, are 40 pants one of the items? Well, I like to think those are the last items, the ones right at the very end that, bring the game into that last step, render it into the VR realm, that virtual realm. Virtual reality is essentially, for those of you who may not understand all the jargon, all the lingo, so to speak, is, it's basically, when you have a game, right, and it's just existing somewhere. It's off doing its own thing and kind of just minding its own business, and then you show up. Well, in this hypothetical, I don't mean to kind of thrust you into this. So a person shows up, and that person. No, you know what? I want to make this more immersive. I would say, so okay, so you show up, alright? So you show up to see this game, and you're looking at the game, and the game is looking at you, and the game's like, are we gonna do this or what? And and you say, all right, sure, whatever, let's get this over with. So then all of a sudden, the game just it just goes berserk. It just starts like it plays every trick in the book, and it plays dirty too. It doesn't play fair. So I mean, this game is just I mean, just everything that, like, all those games that you've played in the past, they don't amount to anything compared to this one. You haven't seen anything yet. You just really haven't experienced the sensation that is true gaming up until this point. Up until you face off with the greatest foe yet, the most powerful opponent of your entire career. Um, I mean, just honestly, just the amount of sheer power we're talking about here. It's just like, and not even a keyboard either. I mean, yeah, the keyboard in question has a lot of power. It's got about 400 horsepower actually. So one keyboard, which is like, I don't know, a 20th maybe the size of a horse, has the power of 400 horses. That, to me, that's bananas. And I don't mean to say that it's, crazy or insane or weird or any of that stuff that a lot of people have come to associate with this poor innocent fruit. But this time I actually am literally comparing it to bananas, because, and I know that's the opposite of what I say most of the time to get myself out of these sort of situations, is that, like, oh, and of course, I don't literally mean whatever. Well, you know what? Let's mix it up this time. This time I do literally mean it. This time I do mean that it is bananas, because let's be frank here. What isn't bananas? Bananas are sort of this all-encompassing entity that, like, is it green, yellow, brown, combination thereof? The world may never know. I don't know. I guess we'll find out about the same time as we find out how many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. It's like, if your own gluttony and greed doesn't kick in by that point, are you even human? And I guess that's the point. I guess that's the moral message behind all of it, is that, like, at the end of the day, a whole day has elapsed. In order for that to happen, there would have had to have been some sort of event, some sort of life-changing or, earth-shattering event taking place within the lore of that universe, of that, that world, to have created all these spider people, because there's just no way that they would have naturally evolved on their own. I mean, yeah, sure, you did have that incident way back when, but I mean, still, that doesn't justify something of this, of proportions, of this magnitude, this scale here. I mean, this really is just exceeding all previous limitations of what we deemed possible, what we thought could happen in our lifetime. I mean, honestly, we really thought that we'd seen everything. And then after that, we thought we could handle anything. And then after that, we thought we were any, like, I think everybody knows that person in their life, or knows someone who, goes around saying, I'm time, I'm literally time, whatever, and that's their whole bit. Like, that's their whole character. It's kind of two-dimensional, or 4-dimensional in their case, because they're discussing time, but, and they just say like, oh, what time is it? And they'll tell you, and they're like, I know because I am time, or maybe not that specific example. I mean, that just might only apply to, the person I know who's like that, but, you know, I think it's reasonable to assume everybody knows someone like that. Am I right, folks? I mean, come on. So you don't feel alone in that. Don't feel like you're in your own boat, in your own lifeboat with that one, because I'm right there with you. So for whatever that's worth, um, I in and in the same way that all that stuff I just said is true. I think, I don't know, I wasn't really paying attention to what I just said. It's kind of on autopilot at this point, but in that same regard, there's also the same amount of chance, the same numbers in the same thing that I just said, and that was just said by me, that, I mean, basically, one of two things is going to happen. No, one of three things. Okay, so either there's going to be well, it's not really important if we think about it. I mean, you should know the three things that should happen. I mean, I honestly, I don't even need to explain. Just the important thing is that you know one of three things can happen. I mean, honestly, what good will it really do you, for me to really elaborate and go into all this further detail about, the three things and the implications of each, the potential implications of each of the different responses or choice, or whatever is going on here. It's like, why why would someone like that want to, like, why? It's just so confusing to me. It's baffling. I don't get it. I don't understand people that are like that. Because what do they get out of that sort of behavior, out of that kind of thing? It's like, I don't know, whatever. Yeah, I don't really mind that much, I suppose. I mean, as long as they're not directly affecting me, I could care less, I suppose. But, once again, it's just kind of like different people, right? They have different currencies and different languages, different flags, different political systems, different leaders, different laws, rules, different just people, different neighbors and classmates and co-workers and friends and just everybody, bandmates if applicable, like, just, every time we do one of these, I just kind of get this feeling that it's like somewhere right now somebody is having the same kind of thing. I mean, it's like this conversation. I'm having this conversation. This conversation is being had by me, but it's also being had by. I don't want to freak you out here. I don't mean to blow your mind. Cover your ears if you're really sensitive. But right now, there's somebody or something somewhere in the universe, or perhaps even the multiverse, who's also doing the same thing. Or at least a thing that's so similar that it doesn't make a cosmic difference, really. And it's like, if there exists an alternate reality where my life is exactly the same, only I blinked one more time maybe in that reality, then, why wouldn't they be able to make some kind of device, some kind of thing that just sort of lets you know, basically, of what the outcome's going to be before you try, before you just go into it, before you sort of plunge into it, before you go off the deep end or, jump off of the diving board. I'm trying to remember if I've ever been on a diving board. I guess I probably was at some point, parentheses S. Maybe once or twice, but I don't have very vivid memories of any of that. What I do have, one thing, anyways, I do have vivid memories of trying to get the kitchen all back. The thing is, it's like that right there. That is something that we have in that room. I can see it now. I can picture it's like I come on there, and then he comes on here at some point and tries to push his product or brand or whatever. And, you just say, like, oh, okay, well, in that case, there's, some kind of thing somewhere, is gonna be, that one is kind of gonna be gone for a little while, probably, so, in the meantime, it can be some of the stuff we talked about, or, whatever. I mean, it's not necessarily a requirement, I just simply like to run a little bit of a background check, I guess, so to speak, just kind of know what I'm getting into here. But, I don't know what I'm talking about, dude. This whole room is like spinning there or something. Honestly, I'm surprised I'm still talking. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm talking to myself. I'm just hallucinating all of you, and I'll wake up tomorrow or something, and you'll be like, dude, why didn't you talk at all in the last episode? And then I'll be like, what are you talking about? I talked non-stop in the last episode. I talk non-stop in every episode. And you'd be like, oh, okay, well, that's true. I mean, I can't argue with that, but, like, why do you, like, start a topic and then never finish it, never move on, never come back to it? And I just say, well, you know what? There's a reason for everything. And that's it. And then, yeah. Well, that about wraps it up, folks. I don't want to keep you from that so important thing that you've been saving up for life. That's so you got my buddy over there. You saw that they were recording something. You thought, maybe it'd be funny, maybe it'd be a good idea if it went and disrupted them. I tried to advise you against that, of course, because, who wants to do that? It would be, whatever, just because I can't make it in today doesn't mean that nobody else can, because surely there's got to be someone This is gonna be a question for a long time. Oh, don't you worry about it. You didn't hear me on that one. Or maybe Joe, I don't know what you didn't like had any reaction to it. I just said, if you wanna, some kind of, I don't necessarily know. Come back with some I must vow never to use these powers for evil. Also, that's a anything, whatever. I don't know if I feel up to this, if I'm feeling okay, if I'm down with all the clowns here, or if it's just too much for me to handle, so. Oh, sorry, that one, I probably did kind of fall victim to someone who, initially accused of her. It's like, I understand why you would have done that, but I mean, I typically give a price for that kind of stuff, but, whatever. I'm trying to meet a quota here. There's a minimum length for these episodes, and it's an hour, so in case you were wondering, that's why I didn't fall asleep yet, and it's been really hard for me. I've fallen asleep for a few seconds here or there so far this episode, but not for long enough for me to really stop talking for a substantial or really noticeable amount of time. I mean, hey, I'm like asleep right now, I think. I don't know, but maybe it's got something to do with whatever, but you better believe that as soon as this gets to an hour, that'll be it, and then there'll be no more greetings or no more salutations or whatever you're talking about. I gotta come get the last of those days of her coming back to sing off. Some other guys praying you last cancel. Cause it clearly has way to get all of it in again this last time. To try to cheer them up, I did everything I could for at least everything I thought of. You decided against the last one, right? Who said anything about that? Certainly not me. Is she what? I don't know. I don't want to ask her, is it? So, it doesn't mean I know everything about her. I mean, come on. So, what happened to this guy? So, you got more. Sometimes. 20 seconds, okay. Yeah, just give me here. Anyway, that's all for this episode. See you next time.